The murder case on the Orient Express is one of the Hercule Poirot cases from the novel by Agatha Christie that is most often adapted to the screen. One of the best big screen adaptations, the 1974 version by Sidney Lumet. The film leaves room for us to guess, gather our own analysis, and witness the tragic and dark absolute truth. After that, there were indeed many reincarnations of this novel, to the point that most of us would know what the story was. The story about the famous Belgian detective Hercule Poirot that wants to rest in Istanbul, but must return to London for another case. His friend Book, nephew of the director of the Simplon Route Orient Express service, arranges a bunk for him aboard the train. Unscrupulous businessman Edward Ratchett offers to hire Poirot as his bodyguard during the 3-day journey, having received threatening letters from an unknown party, but Poirot refuses. That night, Poirot hears strange noises coming from Ratchett's compartment and later sees someone in a red kimono running down the hallway. An avalanche derails the train's engine, stranding the passengers. The next morning, Poirot discovers Ratchett was murdered during the night after having been stabbed a dozen times. Poirot and Book investigate the other passengers as repairs begin. In the hands of Kenneth Branagh, Murder on the Orient Express takes the reincarnation as a more light-hearted detective mystery story. It can be said that the setting of Branagh's Murder on the Orient Express version is very grand. Even more grand and dramatic impression than imagined from the description in the book. Although it is felt that most of the Myuu CGI, it can't be denied that the nuance fits the storyline. The shooting angle that Branagh chose for scenes outside and inside the train carriage was quite interesting. One of the most interesting takes is when Poirot tries the suspects in the tunnel. Poirot had his back to the Orient Express against the backdrop of the snow, while the train passengers sat in a row, facing the table like the 12 apostles in Leonardo da Vinci painting The Last Supper. Lesson ensemble: this movie is Poirot's one-man show. The movie assumes that the audience was familiar with the mystery, so they are more interested in the film as a lesson for Poirot's character. Makes this legendary great detective look human. We are given a little background story about Poirot's love life, which unfortunately is only a background. The sequence of the film's mystery answers also inevitably becomes flat. For some reason, Poirot places the suspects in a formation like in the painting The Last Supper, but the show of analysis is far from majestic. Because the film is more focused on making the things that Poirot said difficult for himself. The film wants to examine Poirot's reaction, as well as our reaction to vigilantism, about what is actually fair in the eyes of the law and humanity. Presenting a story that is naturally a story with dark elements in an entertaining package, the film actually struggles to balance the tone of the story. Made not as a comedy, but as a drama with light elements embroidered in between. Unfortunately, the tone was never consistent. Hercule Poirot, a detective that should make people look down on him at first sight. He never used physical intimidation to get his suspect to confess, as Branagh did in a high-pitched and threatening tone. Poirot is a man that's so confident in his understanding of human nature that he preferred to use his grey cells to distort the suspect's statements, to draw out implied facts from casual remarks, and to intimidate with the sharpness of his aura. In this movie, we can feel the emptiness of Poirot's figure in Hercule Poirot himself. And also a lot of scenes that feel they shouldn't be in the film and make the film feel rushed. Although a lot of interesting things, as was told at the beginning. But still this movie feels empty. This movie would be pretty good if it wasn't an adaptation of novel. Therefore, it can be said that a film that tells one of the best-selling novels, and with a line of good casts, this film was quite disappointing. On the other hand, if taken from the side of the general audience, this film can be quite entertaining and interesting to watch. The final scene that was quite well packaged by Branagh, which makes this film enjoyable or even worth watching. So, how was it? Have you decided to watch it?